Welcome to the Stress and Distress and Dementia webinar series. This series has been developed by the Department of Clinical Psychology, Older Adult Mental Health Service and NHS Grampian. This module is ABC charts. ABC charts are a method of recording and reflecting on behaviours, vocalisations and emotional expressions of a person with dementia. Here's an ABC chart on the screen. They allow mental health or stress and distress practitioners to analyse behaviours which can then provide answers or theories about the cause of a person's behaviour. ABC charts highlight patterns in distress. They help us to understand what might be causing, contributing or maintaining a behaviour. ABC charts encourage us to consider psychological and social factors, and they may also give us clues as to what unmet needs a person may have. You may wish to watch our previous webinar on unmet need for further information. Let's look at the ABC approach in more detail. A stands for antecedents or triggers, B is behaviours, and C is consequences. We want to consider each aspect in some detail. For example, antecedents. We want to know what was going on just before the specific behaviour started. So for example, the person was sitting in the day room, they've been sitting there for some time. Staff are busy giving out afternoon medications and tea and coffee. Visitors are also present, but this person has had no visitors today. The room is busy, noisy and warm. Moving on to the behaviours, we want to know what actually happened. What did you or other staff observe? Please only provide factual details and do not interpret the behaviour at this stage. So for example, something we may document here is the person tried to get up from their seat, screamed and shouted at a staff member who was walking past with another resident's medication. When the member of staff asked the person to sit back down, they attempted to hit out at the staff member. The next stage is consequence. We want to know what happened next. How did people respond to the behaviour and did anything make the situation better? So for example, something we may state here is the person was helped out of their seat and taken to their room by 2 staff members. The person was then left alone in their room for 15 minutes and the shouting stopped. The ABC approach may also be known as a functional analysis, as we are attempting to analyse the function of a specific behaviour. The ABC approach is a person-centred approach. It allows us to assess the person's behaviour, understand potential causes of distress behaviours, identify what the unmet need might be, and then to consider what we can do, introduce or adapt to meet that unmet need. So when do we do an ABC chart? ABC charts should be completed when proactive and preventative strategies aren't reducing distress, when biological factors have been excluded, and when there is a need or a requirement to consider triggers and consequences of distress in more detail. Please note that ABC charts should only be completed after discussion with a mental health team member, such as a community mental health nurse or occupational therapist or stress and distress practitioner. Here are the steps we take when utilising ABC charts. We first of all identify the behaviour, then describe it, and then finally record. While identifying the behaviour, this will be agreed with a mental health team member, such as a community mental health nurse or your local stress and distress practitioner. We want to agree on which behaviour is a priority. This might be aggression during personal care, for example. We then want to describe and be specific. So how do we know when the person is angry or aggressive during personal care? Are they shouting? Are they punching? Are they kicking? We want to be specific here and highlight one particular behaviour to focus on, giving as much detail as possible. Finally, we will then record the behaviour. So for the example, we identified aggression during personal care, and staff have described verbal abuse as a targeted behaviour. We will then agree on a start date and end date for ABC charts. This will be a 2-week period unless 15 charts are completed before this date. If 15 ABC charts are completed before the 2-week period, charts will stop. It can be helpful to agree how all staff will be made aware that ABC charts are starting, for which person the charts are for, and for which specific behaviour. It can also be helpful to consider where the ABC charts will be stored and ensuring that all staff will have access to them. Some people have said that storing ABC charts in handover folders can be helpful, and it can also be useful to label all ABC charts with the same specific behaviour and have these readily available for staff to complete. Anyone who observed this specific behaviour can complete an ABC chart. It's most helpful to complete ABC charts immediately following observation of the specific behaviour we are keen to analyse. We would encourage people to take at least 5 minutes to sit down and consider what just happened. Don't leave it too long, as your memory may lose an important bit of information to piece the situation together. If there was more than one member of staff present, you can do the ABC chart together. Please remember, ABC charts are just as important as other tasks. Frequency charts are an additional behavioural analysis tool that may be used instead of ABC charts. These can be used for behaviours which are particularly repetitive or occur so frequently that 15 ABC charts would be completed in a day or two. Here are the steps we take when utilising frequency charts. First we identify, then record, and finally analyse. During the identify phase, we agree with a mental health team member or stress and distress practitioner which repetitive or frequent behaviour is a priority. An example of this may be shouting for help. Next, we record the behaviour. So for example, every time the person shouts for help, staff will add a tally to the frequency chart within a 2-hour time slot. We will also agree on a start date and end date for frequency charts. This will likely be for 2 to 3 days or 1 week at most. The final step is to analyse and look for potential patterns or environmental cues which may indicate triggers or factors maintaining the behaviour. As with ABC charts, analysis will be carried out by a mental health team member or stress and distress practitioner. So after the charts are completed, this is what's likely to happen. All ABC charts should be kept within the residence file and all staff made aware of this. Staff involved in the person's stress and distress assessment will assess the ABC charts. They will consider or try to understand potential causes, including any thoughts and feelings that may have triggered the person's distress behaviour. You may be asked for reflections and/or thoughts that you had while completing the charts. And the charts may be used to develop a formulation or action plan which can allow us to better understand and manage the person's stress and distress. If you require additional support in managing stress and distress, please contact your GP or community mental health team for further information. Thank you for listening. You've now completed our module on ABC charts. Please move on to the next video.